So I'm continuing with some of the topic I was sharing yesterday about virtues, and it was a talk I had with a lady named Tanya. And so pride is when the outward turns inward. Everything supposed to help us ends up hurting us. There's hypocrisy, self-righteousness. But with humility, what's in the heart, whether it's resentments or passions, is where the limits are, you know, how humble we are. And actually, I read today, let's say learning Torah is like water. When we learn the truth, when we learn reality, consciousness, it waters whatever's going on, whether it's good or bad for us. Greed is like a tax collector versus, you know, someone who gives the best of what they have, the greatest that they have, a sacrifice of faith. Spiritual or physical shortage or hoarding without giving versus giving everything we have for the person who needs it without lack. Like in Judaism, we give 10%. Tithing. Where someone could just give what's needed, it could be of more abundance, even if it's less money or more money, it doesn't matter about that. Humility is also the potential for potential energy, which is kinetic energy. So like I said, it's whatever in the heart. So it's the potential of what could grow. The potential for potential energy turning into kinetic energy. Like the spring that goes like that. Light to time space is like a line to form and shape. Like you have a line traveling and then you make a shape or a form. And that's how light is with like time and space. It moves through linearly. Well, the line is moving through form and shape. So light doesn't have to obey that into form and shape, but it's like into time and space. Mercy or charity is God's grace, God's love on earth. The collective rather than collecting. It's objects, people, relationships, caring for rather than having. Love gives to its like an image. When we live in love, we are the light. We receive to share. We share till we're empty. We hold till we're full. The testimony is the sharing. Generosity is the fulfillment of God's joy. I'm blessed and I'm giving blessings too. Envy is negative, sinful, against ourselves. Emotions like depression, anxiety, illusions, anger. There's a lack of fulfillment and giving problems cursed rather than before generosity is giving blessings. We know when to act and when to stay when it comes to like meekness, patience, or wrath, anger. What's the difference between anger and wrath? Anger is either illusioned anger, like mentioned with envy, which is wrong or a misperception, or definitive, righteous, ethical, moral anger. And then wrath is like this continuous emotion. It refuses to move on or grow or be transformed. When we have meekness or patience, it's discernment, enacting serenity prayer, which is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So to be that in the world, to have discernment, to know when to breathe in, when we could take it, and when to breathe out when we can't. Chastity is relinquishing the carnal desires for two spiritual ones. Transmutation, like the hedonism toward a light being. Let go of one's manifestation for clinging to another. Could say giving it to God or choosing God as the object of whatever it was. Lust is a connection to a false source. It is reflecting, or it's the reflection of a reflection of a reflection. And righteousness is invoking the godly higher self nature, and intuitions being created in God's image as a function of God. And God became good when God said it's all good. And it's good, yielding to good. Then we have fasting or gluttony, which is to either sit with God and think and wait and pray, choose the fruits of the Spirit, abstain, where we're able to delay gratification, transcendence, discipline, really spiritual mastery. And then sloth, which could be like spiritual bypassing or lethargy. It's a kind of laziness, a kind of passive, easy, but also like quick fix or yielding to lack-based desires, unsustainable. Short circuit. Like redundant shortcuts. And I'm going to share a poem I wrote, which is: a house divided cannot stand. The owners keep the dog tight, but the dog is gentle and it doesn't bite. Punishment for curiosity for animals. Fractions of logic and rationals. Too much preventable bother identifying with my father. Object impermanence is the time. Truth and kindness don't always align. And when we surrender to self-expression versus when we need to control, there is a perception of like change. So self-expression is we're changing and we don't know what it's going to look like. And people, it's basically both clinging to change and stopping change. And that's what controlling is. And when we feel unlovable because we can't control the situation or less value, we start to perceive defensively in fear of a rejection, because if I consider that I'm lovable or worthy, if I'm able to dominate and control the outcome to that which I think makes me lovable and worthy, then I can avoid a possible rejection. So in coming to terms with change, which is really wisdom, to be able to have things change and adapt and, in a way that to lead people, we have some examples in my tradition, Judaism. The 6 wisest was Moses, Joshua ben Nun. Before that was Adam, Abraham, Yosef, and after that was Shlomo. And so looking at myself, like I wrote this a few years ago, but how do I know I've changed? Feeling at home, learning about feeling at home, growing gratitude and confidence, making yummy food for myself, talking to myself nicely and respecting my softness, demobilizing and releasing the rush, not taking people's opinions of me as seriously, feeling sexy in my movements and rhythm versus being an observable appearance that's either approved of or not, using my preventative medicine and practices with more grace and fun, letting someone I miss be with me already in my mind. That's how I recognize them as one of my people. Singing and dancing, even just for a few moments. Not feeling jealous when I'm practicing acceptance of myself and my performance, like, on the way to becoming better at something. And I will end with sharing 3 points here. One is that the Mitteler Rebbe, who's the second of the Lubavitcher Rebbes, tonight and tomorrow is the anniversary of death of the first. So the second one wrote Torah's Chaim, Bereshis, Shemos. He wrote a Torah of life on the first 2 books. Bereshis is the first book, and this week we start the second book, Shemos. and his name was Rabbi Dover. He married Shena. His last name was Shneuri. He had 2 sons and 7 daughters, and he published 19 works. And Yud Kislev, he was freed from jail before the trial. Tes Kislev was his birthday, and he died. He was 54 years old. And his father was Rabbi Shneur Zalmen. And so I'll read just, the Alter Rebbe, or called the Grand Master. He wrote the book, the Tanya. He's called the Baal Tanya, which means the master of the Tanya. And he taught Chabad Chassidus. He refined Chassidus to be Chabad, which is like Kabbalist, a refined Kabbalah. And Chabad stands for Chachma Bina Das, the attributes that are divine and human, of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. The father, the mother, and the child. And I'll just share a little piece from, 2 little pieces from Tanya. In chapter 42, the Alter Rebbe says that we have to be consonant with the omnipresent, that we are wearing garments as the King is God, and seeing and being seen, where we get to be level-headed, that there are demons in the shadows, fear in recesses, and there's a healthy one of a loving presence, and a guide and a healer and protector who feels me and can read my mind, that Moses sparks us like a luminary, the Moses spark versus like the luminary. So the luminary itself can give off sparks. And then the intelligent, meditative, insightful way of living. So intelligent is like the wisdom that comes drip, drip, drip. The meditative is the analysis, the understanding, and the insightful is that third eye, like really seeing in. And I will share a second piece from the Alter Rebbe. From the Tanya, it says that life is a creative force for the spark being created with divine compassion. We have to say, with our own not knowing, that there's this innate dignity emanating from the Creator through us, toward or away. There are 13 ways to combine the spark of love and fear, kindness, sensitivity, and severity. Giving and desiring without a human match means that when we go to our Creator, it's like the Creator, there's a rope to the Creator, there's like a line to the Creator, and we're inside a body. The rope is stuck to the glue at the bottom, and it's not swinging freely, so it's like our habits, versus when we can get it to move freely, it's like we've shed the shell, the serpent skin, the snake kind of, and we can be open to our godliness. It can flow down and emanate through us rather than get trapped. And so I'll stop here with these teachings, and may the Alter Rebbe's soul have a ascent for all that he did for us, who came after him. And we learn that the righteous is the holy tzaddikim, the special ones. Their lives are even more real after they separate from a body. May it be.